Washburn. I am so excited to have her here. We're just going to jam out for a sec until we see if we're live or not. I'm so digging this music.
I love it.
All right. So, welcome, Stasha. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. So let me just double checking here to make sure we're live. And I want to welcome everybody to Food, Mood, Attitude, where we demystify and talk all about eating psychology, mindful eating, mindful living, wellness, health, and so much more. And of course, food and mood. And today we are going to be talking about a really, really interesting topic from an expert, in fact, somebody who's in the niche of menstruation. So this is a period coach, you guys. How cool is that? And we're going to learn all about what Stasha does, how she supports women, and really we're going to be discussing some of the ways that food and mood are intertwined with our cycles. So I can't wait to hear more about that. So let me just tell you a little bit about Stasha. Stasha is the period coach. Her life vision is to end the taboo of menstruation, so it's no big deal. Stasha is changing the conversation of periods from whispers in the ladies' room to empowered public discussions. Join Stasha in her amazing Facebook group, The Red Circle, Lady Business, a powerful positive period place. That's a lot of P's.
I like the alliteration.
Yeah, I love alliterations. Powerful positive period place. And Stasha actually has a BA in dance as well as her holistic health coaching certification. Was that from IIN?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she loves to work with women to help balance their hormones. She's now decided, of course, just to take over the world by helping women heal their relationship with their cycles through her various programs. So once again, welcome, Stasha. I'm so psyched that you're here. And let's get comfortable in my living room for a sec. There we are. So tell us a little bit more about you. So start from the beginning. How did you get into this field of health and wellness? What sort of what called you to this space?
It was kind of inevitable. I started off with really bad periods, just kind of out of the gate, really bad periods. And I think I tried doing everything but sort of accepting that this is what I was going to be doing with my life. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But I had horrific periods. I mean, I would have like a week beforehand where I just was having an out-of-body experience. Like I would have such severe mood swings and migraines and these kinds of things where I would be floating up here and I would hear the crazy coming out of my mouth and I'd be like, that's super crazy, but I couldn't like stop the crazy.
You mean you were sort of like dissociated from your body a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the moods were in charge, not me. And I'm a very logical, I'm not a moody person. Like I'm a very super logical, pragmatic, if then, therefore person. So it was really hard for me to be in this like hostage situation. And then I would get my period and I would pass out, usually immediately before I would get my period.
Wow.
Just the hormonal crash would happen and I'd break out into cold sweat and then I'd collapse.
Oh, wow.
I'd wake up and I'd have such bad periods or such bad cramps that I would spend the next 24 hours basically, imagine the worst food poisoning you've ever had, just throwing up, can't leave the bathroom. And then the day after that would be like mild food poisoning, and then the third day would be like I'm desperate and haven't even been able to drink water for 2 days and just like completely wiped out. And then it'd take me a couple of days to recover from spending 3 days in such a violent illness. And then that was it. And then I had like 2 weeks through my follicular and my ovulation phase, and then it would just start all over again. And I was like this can't be normal. And I was on birth control, and I was on narcotics, and I was in high school, keep in mind, and I was on birth control that has been, actually, there's a class action lawsuit because women died, because it was experimental, and I was on it. So, I mean, looking back now, you know, we did the best that we could, but the only option was, like, at 15, being told to get pregnant or have a hysterectomy. Those are the only two options you have left.
goodness.
So I did neither. And that sort of is what happened. So I went through my dance career. I did the best I could. I mean, I remember days where I would just be in the studio in a blanket with a hot water bottle on me watching rehearsal because I couldn't actually stand up, but you can't not be at class. Like, that's just not an option. So, I mean, I go to class like that, just running to the bathroom and coming back. And then...
It's so debilitating. Like, really debilitating.
Totally. It was totally horrible. And when I ended my dance career, I was bartending in New York City, as most artists do.
It's kind of like you have to, right?
Yeah, you do what you gotta do. You gotta pay rent, right? But I was trading shifts with my bartenders for narcotics. Like, I would stay late and I would get, like, somebody's extra Vicodin prescription or something just so that I could make it through shifts when I had to work.
Wow.
Which is, not ideal, but this was before Obamacare, and I did not have health insurance, so it's what I did. So then I came out to California, and I started teaching fitness classes, teaching yoga and Pilates and ballet bar, and I became a teacher trainer for a studio, and I hired all the teachers in the studio, and I trained them all, and basically ran a studio, and I was running a restaurant as well, because I had had enough of the bartending world.
Yes, you were like basically just lounging around doing nothing.
Nothing. No, I know. And this is it. Like, I was running a restaurant and I was running a studio at the same time. And I was like, I am still making a living based off of being at peak physical performance.
Yeah, it's bananas.
My entire life. From the age of 3 until, like, 30 had been completely, my income was solely reliant on my body. And my body did not cooperate for like a week or two every month. And I just thought, I gotta figure something out. And that's when I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in like 2010, I think.
Oh, so that's one of like the earlier, like I think you probably one of the first graduates then.
I was the first year that they had an online program.
Ah, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And I knew about them because I had been in New York City, but at the time I had just quit dance, and like the last thing I wanted to do was be healthy. I was like, I spent 20 years in a gym, I'm 23, I just want to eat Cheetos and pizza and lay on the couch. So I was far removed from trying to be healthy in any way, shape, or form. I was like, I just want to stuff my face with all the food I hadn't been able to eat for 20 years. But then I did come back around and was like, no, I can't, like, this is just not working. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and my idea then was simply just that I could see clients in bed. Like, if I was having a really bad week, I could just talk to my clients and lay in bed with a hot water bottle on me and still be functioning and make money. I wouldn't lose my income like everywhere else where my income was based on being there physical.
Right.
So that was my big, like, this is what I'm going to do. And of course it didn't work out like that. That's not what happened. Because the best laid plans.
It never does it?
No. But I did end up coaching athletes, which was awesome. As I had been an athlete for most of my life, so I ended up coaching athletes, which is really cool. I did my first cleanse that I developed myself for women based on what I had learned over 20 years of trying to fix my period and what I learned at IIN. I kind of put that all together and made my own cleanse, and it was the first time I'd ever had a pain-free period in my life after doing it for 30 days. Huge deal, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
And to this day, I still do it regularly, 2 or 3 times a year. And in fact, that's what my FPMS eating program is. Just developed out of that and doing it with clients and doing it with groups and all these kinds of cool things. So I still do it. I still do it 2 or 3 times a year minimum because it's like a beautiful cosmic reset button for my body, just really getting me in line. And every time I do it, I kind of stay a little bit better, longer, and kind of stay healthier and I feel better. And it's like every time I kind of just up level a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I love that, so I still do it.
Yeah.
But I started running my own business. At this point, I had gotten rid of running someone else's restaurant, and I had my own restaurant, just a pop-up kitchen. So I determined when we were open and when I wasn't, because I rented out other people's restaurants.
What kind of food did you?
I was coaching athletes.
What kind of food did you cook?
Oh, well, it's called Clean Dinners. I still do it from time to time, and it's all completely 100% clean, organic, no sugar, no gluten, no anything. I usually have a whole side of vegan dishes and like a whole side of paleo sort of style dishes. And everyone would come in and just mix and match. Like I had a lot of couples that would come where one was vegan and one wasn't, and they would like share all of the dishes, but then they get their own entree.
That's awesome.
It was fun, and it was great, and I would still do it, and I still enjoy it, and I love being able to provide, like, having a woman who'd never been able to have a birthday dinner party. She was vegan, and she was gluten-free, and that just didn't exist, so I was able to cater a whole dinner party for her and all her friends, and it was fun to be able to give that to people who'd never been able to before.
Yeah.
But I was still earning money based on my physical ability to show up. Right. So it turns out that was a problem because about a year after figuring out this like dietary side of my problem, I was running 2 businesses and I burnt out and my periods went right back to being horrific, even though I didn't change the diet. And that's when I realized, oh crap, diet's just one part of the problem. It's lifestyle just as much as it is what I'm eating. So like I could do the diet thing, but if I still worked like a dude, it couldn't work out. And I could do the whole work like a woman thing, but if I went back to eating gluten, which is my problem, I would go back to having bad periods. So I was like, I kind of really need to be able to put all of this together into a really beautiful system and cycle. And that's really how I started. Yeah, and that's where I realized, like, it's not that I want to coach athletes. It's not even that I want to coach women with painful periods. It's that I want to end the taboo so that we can have these conversations, so that we can actually, as women, bridge that gap. So that it's not, I have so many women that come in and they're like, I eat perfect. And first of all, I have to go, well, what's perfect?
Exactly, right. Exactly.
Because, like, 9 times out of 10, that's not. And then, on top of that, I'm like, okay, great, so you eat well, but what else? Are you burning yourself out? Are you running around like a crazy person? Are you taking any time off? Or, are you working like a dude? So that's when I really realized, it's more important than me working just one-on-one with women, but what's really important is opening up that conversation so that we as women have all of the tools at our disposal.
Yeah.
And we need all of that information.
So other than the food piece, like what have you found that really has supported you with the pain? Has it like yoga and exercise? Has it been meditation? Has it been like energy work, acupuncture? Like what's been involved with it?
Eat all of the above.
That's what I thought.
No, actually, the most important part of the puzzle for me was running my business with my cycle. And that's actually where Your Business, Your Flow, which is my signature program now, came out of, because I had all of these female clients and they all just happened to be business owners. Mm-hmm. Like, we bring in what we need to learn.
Yeah, that's so true.
And they all had the same problems I did, and we all started with the food thing. But then I was like, well, in my research, I do know that the hormones affect your brain, and I know that, like, right now your verbal skills should be peaking. So what if you went in and talked to your employees this week and did those employee reviews you've been putting off, but do them this week because your verbal skills are peaking? And, so then she'd go home, she'd go into work, she'd schedule her employee interviews, she'd do them, and she was like, I can't believe how well that went. And I was like, because you didn't do it when you had that knee-jerk emotional reaction during the luteal phase, and your emotions are ruling, because you did it when you were in your verbal phase, and you're right. So we just started rearranging everyone's businesses to actually run and do what they're really good at when they're really good at them. And that's when I was like, that's the second part of the puzzle. It's the food and the life. And I need to run my business with my cycle so that I have a life, and I'm doing the ups when I'm up, and I'm taking the downs when I'm down, and I'm using all of it to my advantage. And that made the biggest difference for me. I mean, I'm a long-time Tai Chi practitioner. I've been doing Qigong and energy work for, I started doing it during my dance career. It was part of my dance training was Tai Chi and Qigong. So I've been doing it now for 20 years. And that's a huge part, and it's something that I teach. It's actually something I teach in my business program, because I think it's just such an important part of being able to shift your energy and change your flow in your energetic flow, and that really helps with your literal flow.
And it's like all about sort of honoring what is. It's honoring what your body is. And like for me, it's, I do a lot of work with body image and people being angry at their bodies and like, why are you doing what I want you to do? And why are you not cooperating? And why are you not losing weight when I'm working so hard and whatever it is? And I could see there being some sort of anger and like, why am I having so much pain with my period? Like, why would my body do that to me? And what it sounds like to me is like you're putting a sense of like, all right, there is some level of acceptance that this is how my body is with my cycle and flow. And for me, it's more painful. And because I'm accepting that, now I'm going to work with it. I'm going to work with my flow as opposed to against it, Like, I love that.
Yeah, my uterus and I had a conversation this morning, in fact, where I was like, okay, girl, I'm following you. And you seem like you want to move a little ahead. We've got a good 4 days before we're supposed to be doing what's happening here, where I'm feeling this pressure and this just it's like that ripe feeling. And I was like, well, you're a few days early, but if that's what you want to do, then I guess that's what we're going to do this month. That's okay. That's cool. I mean, this is why I schedule the way that I schedule. So, I'm just following you. Just let me know what you need. Relaxed. I'm not stressed out. You don't need to stress out. Like, I'm just following you. And it's a good conversation to have, because as soon as I reassure myself and my uterus that we're all in this together,
we're all okay.
I always get this. We're all in this together. Team ovary gang. Everything seems to calm down. I'm like, I feel a lot better now. Like a lot of that pressure just eased off. I still get anxiety before my periods just because they were so bad for so long. It's a little like mild, I don't know, PTSD or something. Like I don't want to take the meaning for like real warriors away there, but I still have this anxiety that comes up before each cycle. Like, oh God, please don't be one of those. Even though it hasn't been in years. I still have that like little thing in the back of my head, and I still have to like talk through, have a little conversation with my womb, have a little womb to womb time. I go through tapping cycles where it's the EFT tapping. Sometimes I'm really into it, and sometimes I'm not super into it. Sometimes I'm really into journaling, but I feel like that's kind of a cycle thing, like just like anything else, you go through cycles, and sometimes I'm really into one thing or the other, and I just let that happen too. But I have all those tools at my disposal,
So I have a question for you. Why do you think this topic is so taboo? Like, why is it that we can't just speak openly about our cycles and about just what women go through? Like, my feeling is it because because of the patriarchy, and we're trying to be like dudes, and we're trying to like, oh no, nothing to see here, I'm fine, I can be just as productive as everybody else. Or is there something else? What is the shame about, do you think?
Well, historically, the biggest I would say nail in the coffin to our ability to commune as women would be going back to what's affectionately known as the burning times. In the 1400s, there was a document published called the Malleus Maleficarum. It was written by 2 Dominican monks, and it translates to witch hammer. And it's a very graphic, lots of pictures, guidebook on how to torture women. And it even says in that book that if the woman doesn't it survives the torture without giving up other women or admitting to her witch ways or whatnot, that she should be taken and put into a cell for a year and a day and be visited upon, especially during high holy days. Which I assume means go into torture and, I'm assuming, rape some more while you're being locked up. So in this time, there was about 200 years that this document was being followed. About 9 million women were murdered, and they were murdered for being witches. Now, the parameters for a woman being a witch was that she helped other women. So if you had painful birth and a woman came to you and said, here's some clary sage, this is really helpful for painful births, you were now a witch. And the woman giving birth would also be considered part of your coven because she took your help. So at some point, we really, in 200 years, that's several generations of women, considering lifespan was about 30 years at the time. We learned very solidly, deeply, genetically, that to trust or to have a conversation with or to help another woman was a setup for torture. And anything, even talking to another woman, would be considered witchcraft because you're a coven, you're starting a bat, And they took that name witchcraft and made it a really negative thing. So I think, personally, that a lot of the conflict and the competition mindset that we have as women is this, very genetically trained. Much with the Holocaust, I think, reversible through our generations. But we are set up to have this looking over your shoulder nervousness, like the woman next to you is going to stab you in the back any time, because for generations, that happened. And if you talk to another woman, that's what happened. You were, So now I feel like the more that we can have these conversations and the more that we can see the past and pull it out into the light of day and do that shadow work and get through our own, because we all have been backstabbed. It's just kind of part of growing up anymore. We go, okay, well, this is why. Because we were told that if we collaborated with another woman, we would be tortured painfully to death, and that our whole families would also, be. The thing was is that the church got the property. So if you were a witch, the church would get all of your money and your property. So, they went in order of money. The higher class women were accused first, and they basically did it until they were taking over entire towns. I mean, there were entire towns that all of the women were just taken, tortured, murdered, just like men left. So, it wasn't a little thing. It was a huge thing. And I think that's really where the taboo got cemented, where you couldn't speak to another woman. It was dangerous, physically dangerous. So, and not just for yourself, but I mean, you left behind your husband and your children, so your families. So it was not just dangerous for yourself, you could be a martyr, but you also left behind your people. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
So that's story.
Yeah.
It's huge.
No, that is huge. That's so interesting. And I was just curious, how you work with women now. So do you talk about sort of the archetype of this and sort of do you talk to your clients about here's the deal, we're going to pull the veil here. We're going to talk about this openly. Here's the history, and here's how I want to support you with this. Or is there some specific sort of protocol that you follow? I know that you're also, deal with hormones and, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about that too.
Yeah, I do a lot of that, that explaining the taboo thing, just out. The webinar I'm doing on September 1st is a free webinar. It's for anybody that wants to join. And I start out a lot of my webinars with that information. Let me paint the picture for you. Let me set the scene, so to speak. and then show you where we are now, and then give you the tools to move past it. So in September, we're going to focus on how to use all of that information and turn it around and use it for your business. So actually how that collaboration and that kind of energy can get turned, or that, I guess, competition energy can get turned into collaboration energy, and how can we use this, use our powers for good. And heal, because ideally we'll help the next generation and then the next generation and down the line, so forth and so on. So that stuff, I really spread the word far and wide. I feel like that's something the more women know, the more women can acknowledge and see, because then you can see what happens in your own life, like when you get that knee-jerk reaction. And it's just like, women steal my stuff for their businesses all the time. I had a woman who went into one of my programs and straight up told me that she was stealing it she was doing this program specifically to steal it for her own practice. And I was like, okay.
What? Seriously?
Enjoy. Yeah. So I was like, okay, great. Go. Teach it. More women need to know it. What am I going to do?
Wow.
So I took that competition energy that I was like, that was literally being thrown right into my face aggressively, and went, okay, great. Please do.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And turned it into that collaboration energy. And I was like, great, ask a lot of questions, because if you're going to teach this, you better teach it right. So you're going to be here every day. You're going to be on every live call. You're going to ask a lot of questions. I expect you to be front and center every day.
That's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. When I work with one-on-one clients, it's really about where they are and what they need. So we do the hormonal issues, and then we do the lifestyle issues, and it depends on where they are and what they need, 100%.
Yeah.
But I definitely do that system where we start with food, where we start eating with our cycles. It's not about taking stuff out of there per se, but it's definitely about eating, putting in really good things with your cycle so that you're supporting your hormones all of the time. Mm-hmm. And then we do absolutely look at the inflammatory foods, and we start to sort of see what's going on. But I find a higher success rate for women when they have the food supporting that underlying cyclical eating pattern going, okay. So, and then we can look at the anti-inflammatory stuff. But we always, you can't do one without the other. So we always do the energy work. We always do the practical planning work, just mapping out life. Even in my business program, I have women, they're like moms of 3, or last time there was a mom of 5 in there, and she was like, I just need to learn how to plan with me. Like, I need to plan for my family for me, because it does them no good if I'm a mess. So.
Oh, you're so right about that. And there's, I have so many questions. We don't have time for all of them. But, one of my questions, and then I want to get into some of the foods that you recommend to prevent maybe like mood swings, or like for this cycle versus that cycle, part of the cycle. I would love to hear your suggestions, and I'm sure my viewers would love to get some practical suggestions too. But I'm curious, I work with a lot of women who are either perimenopausal or menopausal, right? So they're done with their periods. And I have some clients who I work with who actually, they don't get their period, but they go through the whole thing anyway, but there's no release, right? Mm-hmm. So they get the mood swings, the acne, the whatever, but for whatever reason, they don't get periods. So do you work with anybody like that, and how would you work with that?
So I'm guessing that they're of the age that they're no longer getting periods. It's not just a uterine malfunction.
Yeah, a few people who, a lot of the women I work with are just postmenopausal. They're done. And then a couple of people, either they're like, there is like an issue where they don't ovulate, or they don't, I don't really know exactly what it is, but I've had a few people tell me that they go through all the symptoms that I would get premenopausal, PMS wise, but they don't get the release of, getting the period.
So. Yeah. So the first thing is to know that PMS, all of those symptoms, those painful periods, PMS, mood swings, all of those things are not normal. They're common. They're not normal. There's a difference there.
Okay.
And all those things are a sign that something is out of whack. There's a hormonal imbalance going on. And even if they're not getting that release, because they're not getting the period, my guess would be that that's just an estrogen issue, because if you're not getting enough progesterone, you're not having a period, which is where perimenopause and menopause happen, is because your progesterone level is lower.
Sorry.
To the point that you're no longer getting a cycle, because you're no longer getting a uterine lining. That's what progesterone does, is it builds up the uterine lining. It also makes you feel awesome. Like, progesterone is what makes you feel really good. Like, you just smoked a big fat doobie. It makes you feel really cool, like really calm, really awesome, feels really good. So for women who are not feeling like that, it's usually because of either there's too much estrogen and not enough progesterone, or they have the right amount of estrogen but not enough progesterone.
Okay.
So you can have the right amount of estrogen or of progesterone but have too much estrogen and feel the exact same way as if you have the right amount of estrogen but not enough progesterone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this ratio is in any way out of balance, no matter how it works, it's the same effect. It makes you feel that way.
Okay.
So, and then the other thing is that the digestive things are very often cramps and bloating, and these things are very often attributed to prostaglandins. They're actually an inflammatory hormone, which is good. When you hit yourself, your prostaglandins go in and inflame the area, which tells your body to send in the white blood cells to do the healing, to kick on the repair mode. It's also what helps you release the uterine lining. But if it's out of whack, it's releasing not just the uterine lining, but this is why a lot of women have digestive issues, because it's seeping into the intestinal area around the uterus. So a lot of women find themselves with very loose bowels during this time, because it's causing the uterus to contract, but it's also causing everything around the uterus to contract. And you find yourself running to the bathroom constantly because everything's working.
That is fascinating to me. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's so much that can be going on. So when you move out of the period time into that perimenopause and menopause time, you still can be having all of these other hormonal issues happening, right? You can still have too much estrogen, because that can come in from the outside. You can still not be getting rid of your estrogen properly, because that's a digestive tract issue, liver digestive tract issue. And now you've also got the moon. I call your period moon-powered training wheels. Your period is really, it's like a very physical way of getting into a cycle.
Yeah.
Is like a very powerful, energetic changer and shifter. And I think of our period as really a way to train you for being in tune of those cycles. So for the perimenopause and menopausal woman, they need to be doing that same cyclical planning. They just need to tune into the moon phases and see, like, charting just like you would for a period, but just with the moon. In fact, that's why my menstrual charting, I have a charting mandala, or mandala, or however you say it, wherever you live. I work with people all over the world, and there's always someone that's like, how do we say it here? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you anymore.
Say it however you want.
The moon phase is on it specifically because you need to be in tune with what's going on upstairs just as much as you need to be knowing what's going on inside.
Wow. Okay, so does that have anything to do with, and please forgive my naivete here, because I'm not a period expert at all, but does that have anything to do with why when groups of women live together, roommates, or like that everybody gets their period at the same time, like it sort of like shifts to that everybody gets it, their cycle is sort of synchronized? Does that have something to do with that?
Two things. One, I have found that there's usually an alpha uterus in the group that everyone thinks up to. In my experience, this is just my own life. I have not done research. I have no clinical studies to support this.
Non-scientific
in my
study.
experience, I know women who are like, oh yeah, I'm usually the one that everyone thinks to. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm one of those women, so I'm sorry. Sorry if you're a friend of mine and you've lived with me, sorry. But the other thing is that historically, back in the red tent days, or the moon lodge, the moon hut, or wherever, back when it was actually a sacred and beautifully honored, not a punishment thing, when women would get out of sync, they would start to sleep under the moon. So they would go and sleep outdoors. There's a couple of things about that. One is that there's usually a woman who's out of sync who bleeds with the full moon instead of what is traditionally, commonly, the new moon. And they were often considered the wise women or the healers of the groups. And I think that's just because they had the energy when everyone else was just passed out eating chocolate. And then, they got passed out eating chocolate and the rest of the village took care of them. So they had that ability. But our pineal gland is light receptive, and that's actually what tells your ovaries to start releasing hormones like your FSH, your follicular stimulating hormone, which ripens an egg, which releases for ovulation. That whole cascade happens because your pineal gland says when to do it. So I actually teach women lunaception, which is sleeping with the moon cycles in order to help start regulating your flow. And it's something that I do with women that have irregular cycles, or I do it even though I'm fairly 28-day consistent woman, even when I'm switching moons. Like I'm moving into bleeding on the full moon right now. That's when I'm like a couple days feeling like everything's starting a little earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm moving into the full moon bleed, which I fully expect to happen next month. This is kind of like my period. But it's like this really crazy, very gradual, like just like 27 days, 26 days. And then I'll have like a little burst and I'll be like, 24 days. And then I'll go back to 28 days like clockwork. But I do that lunaception thing because it keeps me as predictable as I can possibly be. And as a woman who went from, it could be 28 days, it could be 36, it could be 40, who knows, I don't know. To be able to say like, it'll probably be around 28 days, maybe 26, is huge. So I do it even though it's not, I mean, maybe it is the reason that, my cycle has stayed so regular, so consistent for so long. But I've also gotten rid of all of the other symptoms too, so, it could be everything else, it could be doing that, but I still do it. It just keeps me connected to the moon phases, which I appreciate, brings a awareness into my life I would not otherwise have.
Oh yeah, that's totally fascinating. Like I'm learning so much here. Like these are things that are so not within my purview, which is so, and I'm sure my audience too are like very interested in this type of aspects of our cycles that we don't often consider or talk about, really. So, I remember through my pregnancies, I was I've always been very regular myself. And even with my pregnancies, it was literally, I went into labor on my due date because I was so regular. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And everything was like just so completely secular there. But before we run out of time, I want to talk about the food aspect of it because I'm really interested. I'm interested in what was in your cleanse. I'm interested if you could name 10 foods for, what did you call it? The luteal phase and the follicular phase?
Yeah, so there's 4 phases to the menstrual cycle. And it's funny, and I'm glad we're doing this because I am recording my Snap with Flow. I'm doing a 5-day challenge for women to run their businesses and live their lives with their cycle. We start on Monday, and I'm doing a bonus day called Snap with Flow, and I'm like, this is perfect timing. I love when we all come together. So there's 4 phases of the cycle, menstruation being the obvious one, and then follicular, and then ovulation, and then your luteal phase. And if you think of so I told you earlier, I'm a big Tai Chi Qigong practitioner, which is Chinese medicine. If you're into Chinese medicine at all, there's corresponding elements and seasons. So the menstrual being winter, follicular being spring, ovulation being summer, luteal actually being late summer and fall. It has a dual element to it. It's also the longest phase, and it has 2 hormonal cycles to it, which I'm like, freaking Chinese people are genius. So if you think of it in terms of the seasons, I think it makes it really easy to think about the foods too, because cooked foods in winter, warmer foods, deeply nourishing foods in winter, which is our menstrual cycle, which makes total sense. Spring, greens and fresh raw foods, grasses, which are perfect for follicular phase. Ovulation is summer, so rich, ripe, red fruits, like these things that we think of as like crowning glories of summer. And then fall, your nourishing squashes, your really fibrous, warm, nourishing foods. And it makes sense because in your luteal phase, that's a week to 2 weeks before your period. That's when you really need to be upping the fiber big time, because that's what gets your estrogen on your system. Good fats, lots of water, but fiber is the thing that I see in my clients over and over and over again. They're not getting enough fiber. And it might be partially because you're getting estrogen from outside sources. So we just need more. So in your follicular phase, or in your luteal phase, I'm in my luteal phase, my low verbal peak area. Bear with me. But in that luteal phase, the recommended foods are things like sweet potatoes and squashes, because they're super high fiber and they're sweet and they feel good. And orange foods, like a raw carrot, for whatever reason, is super good at removing estrogen from your body. So, you think, okay, you want to have sweet treats during that time right before your period. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to like bake a sweet potato and maybe puree it with coconut milk and put ginger and cinnamon and maybe a little cacao powder and have like a really amazing warm like pudding, or however you see it in your head. But
I want that right now, actually.
Yeah. It sounds great, right? But it also is super supportive for your hormones, because you're not adding sugar, but you're still satisfying that sweet desire, and you're getting all the extra fiber, which pulls out all the extra estrogen out of your body. So it's very intuitive in a way how it works. But we also talk about proteins during that time, and like in FPMS, which is that cyclical eating program that I run, we have everything. There's a list of every category of food, and we map them out into columns, so it's really easy for you to like kind of pick and choose your favorites. But buckwheat is a perfect thing to have during this time, and apples and bananas, which also makes sense because apples are really high in fiber, bananas for the potassium that we need because it helps with cramping, right? So it's amazing how fun these are.
And I'm assuming you've done all of it yourself, so you have the personal experience to know what's really helped and what hasn't, and so forth.
Oh, 100%. And I've run this cleanse. I mean, it's an optional cleanse. You can just eat with your flow, or you can also do like sugar cleanse or the gluten cleanse or all of the above cleanse and knock all of the things out, which is nice because you have a really supportive environment and you're adding in a ton of food, so it's a little easier to let go of some other things. But I have women that have done it with me like 5 or 6 times, even more than that now. And they do the cleanse every time. And then I have women that just started, and they're like, I just want to add in some good foods. Like, it's too much to think about everything. And I'm like, perfect, good. Honor yourself and set yourself up for success. Priority 1. We'll do it again. Do it again next time. So then in that menstruation phase, which is that winter phase, and you're thinking like really deep nourishment, we're also in that dark. Right, winter is very dark. So if you think of dark foods and like blackberries and blueberries and figs, those very dark fruits, beets, of course, and then you're looking at things like black rice, adzuki beans. They're really small, they're really dark red. Those kind of really dark things. And lots of eggs, actually, during this time. Eggs of all kinds, from fish eggs to chicken eggs, are very recommended during this time for protein. along with fish. Although that's kind of a recommendation in any phase because it's just, good for us ladies, the omega-3s and the brain food stuff. And then, like I was saying earlier with the follicular phase being spring and that kind of natural inclination to go with the springy foods. So it is fresh greens, it's ferments, it's vinegars, like really fresh cleansing things. Celery, lemon water, like it's the perfect time to do your lemon water during the follicular phase. And, some women, like myself, go in and out of the lemon water in the morning thing. And if you just allow yourself to do that and go like, okay, I'm in my follicular phase, I'm totally going to do the lemon water thing. I feel really good about it. And then you get into your little phase and you're like, the last thing I want is freaking lemon water right now. I just want some like warm roasted dandelion root tea. Yeah. Great, because that makes perfect logical sense and don't feel bad for leaving one thing out to do the other. They're both liver tonics. So great, do the one that feels really good for you and then switch over to the one that feels better for you then. Like that's kind of the beauty of the cyclical eating. And then the ovulation phase is really the shortest phase, so it's really a very intense phase. It's the summer. But it's that very fire, very spices. It's very condiment oriented, so like hot chilies, arugula, dandelion, those really intense flavors. Yeah. They're also very cleansing flavors, which I find interesting because we are hitting the peak of all of our hormones. Our estrogen, even our testosterone is at its peak during ovulation. So it's very telling to me that the foods in the cyclical eating pattern are very cleansing during this phase because it's trying to get you to pull out the excess of those peaking hormones. And I think it's kind of a beautiful way that all comes together right there.
Oh, that is
And of course, there's ways that you can cook during each of these phases. It's really suitable, and it goes on and on.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. We probably even crave those foods because of our bodies just naturally, our bodily wisdom. We just crave what we're needing, right? But oftentimes we're not even listening closely enough to recognize that. And I think having that blueprint that you've just sort of outlined is a fabulous way to remember oh, this is why I might be craving this, and this is why I might be needing to have some more sweet potatoes right now or whatever it is. I'm fascinated by that. So gosh, that was such a great primer. I'm sure there's no end to the information that you have about this. I mean, just the information about hormones alone is incredible. That because again, it's not my specialty at all, and I don't often work with people around that area. So, just...
No, it's a lifetime of enforced study. It's not something that I would have done just voluntarily had I not had to in order to function like a human being.
Right, but isn't that the beautiful thing? We often teach, like you said it, we teach what we need and what we've gone through and what we've overcome. And the challenges that we've had, that's what we're interested in. That's what we want to teach to others and to support others with. That totally makes sense. So I'm going to switch gears here and just have people see your website. And then I want you to just let us know how we can find you and tell us a little bit more about this challenge that you're running and also this freebie that you're offering the audience today. So let me just go to your website. This is my Facebook page. So here is the Period Coach. It's a fabulous picture of you, by the way.
My sword form shot.
Yes. Well, I was looking at your work with me photo, but here, let me see. That is a tremendous photo of you with your sword.
It's actually Tai Chi. I do Tai Chi sword, and it's actually a Tai Chi sword, and that's a part of the form.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Andrea Laura, if you're ever in Los Angeles, get her to do shots with you because she's a genius.
What's her name again?
Drea. It's E-D-R-E-A. Drea. What the business page is. I want to say it's just Drea Photography.
Okay.
But I think... I'm pretty good at crediting her whenever I use that picture because it's amazing.
It's so great. It's so powerful, like warrior. And this is the red circle. And then if you go to her website, it's www.theperiodcoach.com. You can learn a whole lot more about her, about some of the programs that she offers, the Red Circle. Looks like there's a whole work with me section and a blog. So if you have found this as intriguing as I have, you're definitely going to want to check her out more, find out more about her. So let me just switch over here. So tell us where we can find you. Tell us a little bit more about what you're offering and what this freebie is, and how my audience can learn and get more in touch with you.
Yeah, totally. So the website is awesome because it's easy to remember. And if you scroll down to the very bottom of that front page, the link to my Facebook group is there. And the group is an amazing hashtag taboo-free zone. And we talk about literally everything. So there's nothing that you can bring up that anyone's going to think is weird. Trust me, you cannot win. And then we also, the thing that I like about that group is that we have twice weekly cycle check-ins. So we have Menstrual Monday where you check in where you are in your cycle. So it's just a really good way of staying accountable and in tune with your cycle. And then we have Total Self-Care Thursday. And again, it's checking in on where you are in your cycle and looking at, are you taking care of yourself properly for this phase of your cycle? Some of the phases are short, some of them are long, but it's nice to have that twice a week, Monday and Thursday, just sort of popping in, seeing how you're doing. And of course we have a day, we have something every day of the week. So we have some really fun things you can do. And it's also a really good way to keep track of what I'm doing, because I have lots of freebies, and I post, my newsletter gets all of them. I'm going to be honest. My newsletter gets everything. So sign up for the newsletter and you'll get everything that happens.
And we can sign up through your website. You can sign up for the newsletter on your website? Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. There should be like a pop-up when you go to leave the site that's right now about the 5-day challenge, Plan with Flow. Which will just put you on the Plan with Flow list, and then after we're done, you'll go on to the main list. So try not to overwhelm people. But I do send out a weekly video. So my YouTube channel, if you, like again, on the bottom part of my website, there's the blog. If you go to the blog, there's videos. And you can click on that video, and you can click the bottom corner where it takes you to YouTube.
Okay.
So I think it's the easiest way to do it, because, YouTube channels are like a cajillion letters. But it'll take you to my YouTube channel, and talk about falling down a rabbit hole. Every one of my people who have gone and just started watching videos has been like, okay, I just lost an hour of my life. It's amazing.
In all the best ways. Yeah,
totally.
I love this.
But I mean, that's got like every video that I've ever shot.
Oh, wow.
On there. So it's got lots and lots of really good information on there. And I tend to go through cycles. Like there's a big chunk which is all about eating with your cycle. And now we're kind of going into a chunk about working with your cycle. And I'll go back into doing eting again. I go through phases. My videos go through phases. We just go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
But that's always fun, and I send that out to my newsletter. So if you're on the newsletter, you'll get the weekly email. Like you'll get the just click to watch link, which makes it super easy. And then my Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/Sasha Washburn. I also attempt to make sure that everything goes up there, and you get all that information as well. And then you can always reach out to me through any and all of those things. So like if you come to the newsletter, just hit reply, and I read my own email. I know a lot of people out there don't, but I do. And then my Facebook page, of course, is, I look at that kind of obsessively. That's one of my favorite things to do. And the Facebook group is like my favorite place to hang out online. So I'm always in there chatting and talking. And I have great things like the freebie that you guys are getting, which has the chart, the mandala, the whatever. On there, and we're actually working on a 2018 version. So download it, use it, tell us what you like or dislike about it, because we're literally working on the 2018 one right now. So you can be part of the process. And we want to make it better for everybody. I mean, I use it every day, so I've already put my 2 cents in. But we've got lots of good feedback from people, so we're making some shifts and changes to the next one. I have the Plan with Flow challenge. So So if you really want to learn like mini crash course on your hormones, that starts on Monday. And I do give you like, it's a little 5-day challenge where you actually will plan with your flow for the rest of the week. And then do it.
Wow.
And then at the end of the challenge, we'll talk about planning for next week. So you could conceivably just week to week kind of keep that flow up and start really planning with your own body in tune, which is nice because you end up like not canceling on people as much because you know what's going on and what's happening, so you can RSVP appropriately. And you get more done because you're doing things with your cycle. So instead of going, oh crap, I've got to write this thing and I can't get my brain to turn on, and you just stare at like a blank page for 2 days, you can actually do it when your brain is working.
That's brilliant.
And you can start really batching with your cycle, which is where it's all at. Like, I can't tell you how, I mean, people think I'm everywhere and I'm some magician, but it's not. I just batch with my cycle, and I do my work and what most people would need an assistant for, and I still, I close my computer down at the same time every day. I have weekends off. My cousin was here last week. I worked for a couple hours every day, and that was it, because I wanted to hang out with my cousin, who I haven't seen in like 20 years.
It sounds like
it's totally doable.
It sounds like you've really figured it out for your lifestyle and how it's going to just work for you. And I think what people can get out of this is that no matter where you are in your cycle, no matter how difficult or challenging your periods are, there's a way to live the life that you want to lead, and to live in a place holding space for what your body is, what your period is, how it shows up for you, and to honor it with the different kinds of anti-inflammatory foods, movement in a way that really supports it, other types of energy work. And this has been such an illuminating conversation for me. In the show notes, like right on this post, you can find out all about Stasha, where you can find her. I've linked the freebie that she's offering. I've linked the Facebook page. So it's all right there. And I definitely encourage you to check her out. So thank you so much, Stasha. Thank you for joining me on Food Mood Attitude. This has been episode number 3. I'm so excited that I was able to have Stasha Washburn here with me today. Tune in next time on August 22nd, where we're going to have another expert in the field of wellness. Her name is Toby Hannah Lucas. But in the meantime, Stasha, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Lots of love. Talk to you soon. Bye.